fifth, fourth or fifth 140 conference. It's nice to look out and see faces of people we really even know. It's amazing how this has grown. We're here to talk about connected educators, and one of the things we want to do is show you that we truly are connected, and that's why we're doing this Google thing right now. And when it comes to connected educators, one of the things I learned recently is that there are a number of definitions of connected educators. There's the 20th century definition of connected educator. I just have to stop this for a second. Hello, Lisa. The 20th century connected educator was somebody who would go to a conference, they would meet up with people, they would make connections, and then they would go home. The next time they were connected again would be when they went to the next conference and they met those people and they shared ideas. Connected today means a lot more than just going to conferences and reading journals. To be truly connected, social media has enabled us to have these connections 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where you can truly connect with people as you need to learn whatever it is you need to learn in order to stay relevant. And there are many, many tools to do this. The basis for much of what we do happens to be Twitter. And Twitter is the backbone for what we call our professional learning networks. It's a network of people that we count on for support in what we do in our profession.
Yeah, and I think to get started, you know, just to show how really connected we are, because Steve and Kyle are in totally different time zones than all of us right now. So we'll just do some quick introductions, and then we're really going to focus on, you know, why is it important to be a connected educator? And I think that will carry the conversation as we move forward, and hopefully we can open it up to some questions at the end. My name is Eric Scheninger. I'm the principal of New Milford High School, which is in New Jersey, about 10 minutes west of the George Washington Bridge in Bergen County. Oh, yeah, Bergen County, yeah.
There's the other person who lives there. I'm Tom Whitby. I live in Sayville, New York, South Shore, Long Island. I guess we started this trek, what, 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. How we got involved with social media was interesting. Eric and I were connected on LinkedIn to begin with. Then everybody kind of migrated over to Twitter. And we have been connecting people ever since. Our first 140 conference was in Los Angeles, where they interviewed us, and our videotapes went viral, talking about how to connect educators. Since then, I have developed a Ning site with about well over 13,000 educators on it. It's called the Educators PLN, where we're connecting educators from all over the world. What else? We've got, I've also been recently employed by SmartBrief to use a thing called Smart Blogs for educators, where we're gathering educators from all over the world to guest blog on that site. And my purpose is to get educators involved in that discussion that they've been pushed out of by politicians and business people, and get the discussion of education back in the hands of educators. So that's how we are connecting educators today.
Steve, how about you introduce yourself?
So can everybody hear me?
They have to turn his mic up.
Just speak up a little bit, Steve.
Okay, so my name is Stephen Anderson, and I'm the Director of Instructional Technology for the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which, as I said that about 30 times yesterday for the people at Microsoft, that's the longest title I think I've ever had. But you know, the whole idea of being connected is, you know, like Tom said, we started this journey 3 years ago, and never did I think that I would be sitting in a hotel room in Seattle at 6:30 in the morning talking to some of the most wonderful and influential people anywhere on the planet gathered in one room, and I would do it virtually. I mean, think about that in the terms of your classroom. You can go back to your classroom, and you could do the same thing that Kyle and I and Eric and Tom are doing with your kids, with somebody else in another corner of the world, and it's this easy. I mean, sure, we had some technical things we had to work out, but really, truly, it's this easy for people to get connected to each other, to talk to each other, to learn together, to grow together. And like Chris was saying, we have the perfect opportunity this month as many people begin to think about going back to school and begin to think about all the things that they're going to do in this upcoming year, This is the opportunity that we have to tell other educators our story, to talk to them and say, this is why I'm connected, this is what I'm able to do, and this is why it's important for my kids.
Kyle?
Can you hear me okay? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes,
Kyle.
Okay, just making sure. My name is Kyle Pace, and I'm an instructional technology specialist for the Lee Summit, Missouri School District, just outside of Kansas City, Missouri. And, you know, I'm going to echo just a little bit of first what Chris said and then what Steve said. You know, I think we owe this to our students. We're in a time where, you know, we can make the world a lot smaller for our students. We can bring so many new learning experiences to our students by us being connected educators first. And I ask teachers the question, you know, where does your learning live? And I think we're in a time where if we're not, all of our learning certainly doesn't have to live online, but a big part of it does. And when someone, you know, and also we, you know, students still aren't thinking about who's creating your digital footprint. And that's something our students aren't thinking about very often either. So.
Yeah, you know, and I think for me, you know, when I look at this journey, you know, I'm hard-pressed to find a more authentic, intrinsic pathway to professional growth and knowledge. You know, I'll be the first one to admit I don't have all the answers. And I truly believe that by sharing our strategies, our ideas, our successes, and openly discussing where we've hit some speed bumps and some failures, we really push each other to get better. And then I look at how my little school in New Milford, which is 2 square miles, we have 1 high school, 1 middle school, 2 elementary schools, and the things that have happened since I decided to, you know, play around on Twitter one day 3 years ago, my school is vastly different today than it was, you know, than it was just a few years ago, and it has a lot to do with me becoming connected. You know, as an administrator, a young administrator, I thought I had all the answers, which obviously we know we do not. I thought we were coming up with all the best ideas, which obviously we were not. And I've learned that the best ideas are out there, and there's so many passionate people that want to share their successes to help all students succeed. And, you know, going back to what I was saying about my school, you know, we've made great strides in upgrading our infrastructure, but also connecting our students to opportunities that would never have existed even a few years ago. Just this year, about 2 months ago, we Skyped with another classroom in Estonia because of a connection that was made online. It's just an amazing time to be in education because no longer are we on these isolated islands or with these silos of information. We really can have, you know, the expertise from practitioners that are doing the jobs that we're doing each and every day, as long as we make a little effort and time to become connected.
When I think of connectedness, relevance comes to mind. As a teacher, we are content experts, and we have to keep up with the content that's out there. And we are now in a time where there is so much content out there and so much content developing each and every day that if we're not keeping up with it, we're actually going backwards. We're not falling behind, we're going backwards. One way to maintain relevance is to be connected with people and to be connected with the internet, just to keep up with what's going on. And I would suggest that we do this in a way that you're comfortable with it. When people first get connected, they can tend to be overwhelmed with all of the information that will come into them. You just have to sit back, take a look at what it is you need at the time, and you will begin to start to take in more and more information at that time. So don't be intimidated. Sometimes it's kind of like filling up a glass of water with a fire hose, the amount of information that you get in. You just have to sit back and take in what you need, and through that, you're going to connect with more and more people who will ease you into this to maintain that relevance that you need as an educator. Kyle?
Well, and look at it in terms of your professional development. I mean, think about over the course of the past eons and eons of time when it came to educators. Who told you what you needed as a teacher? It was your school, it was your district, it was somebody telling you, this is what you need to teach better. And never was there ever an opportunity for you to say, that's not really what I need to learn this. Well, because we're connected, and because we can spend as little as, I had a conversation with someone yesterday who I'm working with some teachers at Microsoft who talked about, I need to be on Twitter, more, I need to spend a lot more time there. And I said, well, how much time do you spend there now? About 5 minutes. Well, how much do you learn? More than I can even, that I've ever learned in doing all the professional development I've done as a teacher. It doesn't take massive amounts of time to learn something new that you can bring some new instructional practice to your classroom, some new resource to your kids. It takes 5 minutes a day looking at a hashtag, following some really creative people, seeing what other people are talking about. That's the kind of professional development that teachers desire. And so it's people like Eric, and it's people like the other superintendents and the other administrators that we know that have really jumped on board with this whole idea of personalized learning and personalized professional development that has made this idea of being connected an opportunity for growth anytime, anywhere, anytime you're doing anything. I can sit and I can go, when I go downstairs to wait for my ride to go over to Redmond, I can sit on Twitter and I can follow along the 140 conference and I can learn 10 new things, or I can save 10 new things that I need to go back and look at later. Those are opportunities that we have not had before for education that could really cause a shift in the way that we do the business of education for the better. If we all took the time, all of us here, we're obviously connected because we heard about this, from somebody who was connected, who was on Twitter, who was on Facebook. We know we're all here, we're preaching. We have to leave this space and tell other people and take this opportunity to tell other people our story, to get them connected and to get them hooked in to all this learning as well.
And it's really getting just what you need, just when you need it. Teachers have the opportunity now, by making these connections, they can almost change their teaching practice in real time. I've shared the example before, a teacher teaching something in second period social studies class could be teaching a lesson on the Civil War, and they could go to and that lesson could bomb. They could go to their network, they could pose a question, ask for an idea, ask for a resource, and literally within the passing period before the next class period, they could have so many new, fresh ideas, new resources, things to try immediately. And traditional professional development, not that it doesn't have its place still, but traditional professional development can't offer that immediacy of being a connected educator. I'm getting just what I need, just when I need it. I get to go try it out. And then even after that, if it still bombs, or that really didn't work, you can go right back to that network and keep refining that, keep getting better. And I firmly believe we are better together for our students, and we need to be better together. Coming together is how we're going to make learning better for our students, sharing the awesome things that they're doing. That's something, and I provide lots of face-to-face traditional professional development for teachers in my district and around the country. But if we're not sharing those awesome things that we're doing, sharing all of those, the good and the bad, then it can kind of be all for naught sometimes. We just have to share, and I think that's what's really important, is that we, in these connected spaces, and like Steve said, we have to be sharing beyond these people that are connected. That's where we really have to go, hey, I got this idea from here. Every time I send my coworkers a cool resource or an awesome blog post, they don't even ask me anymore where I got it from, because they know the answer. My answer is 2 words: from Twitter. They know where I got it from.
Once you get past the stigma of social media, you can actually, tap into its value. And quite often I get, well, I don't have time to blog. I don't have time to go on Twitter. I don't have time to engage in these conversations. You know, and I look from my experience as a high school principal, and I do the budget, I do the master schedule, I do 60% of the observations, I do everything normal principals do. But becoming a connected educator has actually saved me a substantial amount of time, because I can either go to the experts when I want, or I can pose a question and it's there, the information is there waiting for me. I know throughout the course of the year, I quite often will put out a question out on Twitter that, you know, anyone have any bring your own device policies? I'll put it out there, I'll go do 3 observations, I'll come back, you know, a couple hours later, and I'll have 40 tweets, emails, all this information just waiting for me. And I'm not doing anything. It's because of the network that, you know, I've created and the value that I see in it, that the information, flow of information, yes, it's two-way, but it's very convenient by the mere fact that it's there waiting for me if I want it. And I look at all these things that I can talk about now, you know, that, you know, I never even had any experience public speaking until the 140 conference, which was almost 3 years ago. But now, all these tools and ideas and strategies that my peers have assisted me with, that people like Steve and Kyle and Tom and countless others have educated me on, I'm now in a position to not only expose my staff to ways to enhance the teaching and learning process, but I'm able to effectively model these different strategies and techniques and work side by side with them. And what that has resulted in is, it began with change, and now we're in a transformation stage at New Milford High School.
Yeah, the other thing that social media has done, it's given transparency to the education system. Transparency in that anything that's being done is being broadcast out there to a much larger audience. For instance, everybody in here, many of you are now tweeting your experience as to what's going on. If we're saying something that makes sense to you, you're tweeting that out. So we've got 300 people sitting here in this auditorium right now, but those tweets are going out to literally thousands of educators who can't attend the conference, but it's being shared with them through you. The other thing that it enables people to do is to question things. If you're an educator and you're being told that you can't do something for such and such a reason, you can actually tweet out to your other connections and say, have you ever been able to do this? And when they give you an answer, you can go back and say, you told me I couldn't do this, but so-and-so, here's how they did it. It gives you other ideas to open things up to people. So you don't have to accept those excuses that people give you all the time. The whole idea of collaboration has changed the way we teach. Collaborative learning is one of the best ways to teach and for people to learn. But we have not had the tools to really do that. So the whole idea of social media being able to aid in this collaboration has changed the way that we're teaching kids today. So there is a shift. We're no longer, you know, I hate to use the sage on the stage as opposed to the guide on the side. It's an old term, but it really applies to what we're doing today. Because as an educator, I could teach my students every bit of information that I have in my head, but that's not every bit of information that they need to know. You know, I've been teaching for 40 years. 40-year-old information doesn't help them. But if I can teach them how to access the information through collaboration and through using social media and access to the internet for that, and to decide what's good and what's real as opposed to what's a soundbite, that's what we have to do. And that's what these tools of technology are enabling us to do today.
Well, and I said something yesterday that got me into a little bit of trouble with people. I said that the future of the classroom isn't flipping, it's flattening. And so, of course, that makes Vicki Davis very happy with the Flat Classroom project, but it's true. I mean, if you think about it, I talked to a teacher yesterday that said, because of Twitter, I was able to get my kids to talk directly with an author of a book that they were reading. So that's a direct one-to-one connection rather than going out and talking to a publisher or talking to an agent and then talking to the author. It is I'm going to ask this question and maybe see what the author says, and then you form a relationship. I mean, it's to me, this whole idea of connectedness is about the relationships that I make. It's the opportunities for the people that I get to meet. Just this morning, and I'm going to embarrass him because he told me I could, is Josh Allen, who said, "Oh, hey, are you going to name drop me in your presentation today?" Well, sure, Josh, sure, I'll name drop you. But it's these people that you meet that become your friends. I mean, you hang out with them, you learn about them, you have this whole network of people. I never would have had the opportunity to meet someone like Chris. I never would have had the opportunity to meet, the countless number of people that I have the opportunity to work with. I mean, somebody who's going to be at the 140, who is a dear friend of mine, Steve Messler, who is an Olympic champion, contacted me on Twitter and said, "Hey, I've got some questions. Can you help me out?" And now, I'm very fortunate to know Steve and to learn about his story. And so if you get a chance to hear him tomorrow or today, listen to what he has to say about his project. It's these people. It's Mary Beth. It's all of these people that I get to hang out with and that I get to learn from, that I don't have to sit in some boring, drawn-out professional development. And I can say that because I deliver professional development. I used to be one of those people who delivered that and made people sit in that professional development. That was horrible. And it's because I got connected, and it's because I saw how other people were doing things, and I was able to change my professional practice based upon what other people were doing. And it's like Kyle said, it's that real-time change in professional practice that is meaningful to me, that makes my learning better and helps me be a better teacher for kids.
One other thing that social media enables to happen is that ideas are accepted as ideas. They're not accepted by who's saying them. Titles don't matter in social media. You can be a principal, you can be a superintendent, you could be a teacher, you could be a parent, you could be a student. And if you put out an idea that people accept as the idea, it's a great idea. They don't care where it's coming from. So that kind of levels the playing field for everybody to get into the discussion and to offer what it is that, that they want to add to the discussion.
I was going to say some of the same exact stuff Steve just said. I was really going to talk about the relationships that have formed from being a connected educator. I have so many great people that I know I can instantly go to get constructive criticism from. But one of my favorite things that I get to do now, after being at this, for three years now, is I get to help other people get connected. I get to connect dots between other people, and I love getting to do that, because someone will post something out there on Twitter. Oh, I'm really looking for an expert, or I'm really looking for someone that's really smart about iPads, or really smart about Chromebooks, or whatever it is, anything, any topic, and the chances are pretty good that I now, because of the time I've invested over these last few years to build up my network, I have someone I can immediately put them, well, have you talked to at so-and-so? And then that's another connection. And then those connections create more connections, and so on. It's just such an awesome snowball effect that can happen when you watch teachers and other educators and administrators, whoever, start to build these networks of people, and you watch these amazing connections just blossom and just grow, and it just explodes.
And I think a common misconception of those educators that connect using social media and other tools is that we lack interpersonal skills. We can't carry on a face-to-face conversation. We're unwilling to carry on a conversation in person, which is the farthest thing from the truth. Education can be a very lonely place many times. Especially for those individuals that are innovative and that are doing things that are different. For me personally, I have sort of become much better at communication, especially face-to-face, because when I go places now, because of being connected, I seem to always know an educator. Or if I don't know someone per se by following them, we have a common thread. Someone might be following me on Twitter or vice versa. I know Dean Cheresky is here in the audience, and we were at the same airport the other day in Denver. We didn't realize it until too late, but it's going places and now making the world a smaller place together where we can share all these great things that we're doing. And that's what I tell everyone when I go and present is that, you know what, I want to learn from the best. I want to learn from all of you that are in the schools, that are doing the hard work, that are experiencing gains in student achievement, that are engaging kids in ways that will hopefully help me become a better principal and help my teachers become better teachers. It's just the ability to freely share and spread all the great things that we do. I think being connected is something we really need to place more of an emphasis on, because all we hear about in education now is how we're no good. We're not doing a good job. Our system is failing. Where all of us here and beyond know that is the farthest thing from the truth.
I'm waiting for Steve.
No, but it's true, you know, and see, this is the whole thing that the beauty of this whole idea of connectedness is there are people who aren't there who are challenging the message, who are saying, you know, it's all well and good that we talk about, you know, connecting through Twitter and connecting through other means, but make sure you emphasize face-to-face connection. Sure, I value my face-to-face connections more than I do my virtual ones. It's this whole idea that we're not living in isolation. Technology, and I'm definitely not the first person to say this. Technology flattens our ability, it flattens our classrooms and our abilities to connect with each other. It just makes things easier. It's not the only way I connect with people. It's another way that I connect with people. Just like we tell teachers, technology isn't what you use in your classroom, it's just another tool that you use in your classroom. It just makes things easier. And because I'm connected, I'm able to connect with people. You know, many of the people that are there at that conference, I know, and I know personally, I've hung out with, had dinner with, you know, done really awesome things with. I know them on a personal level. It's those times that I absolutely hate that I'm not there with them, that I can't see them face to face, that I can't, you know, and engage them in a face-to-face conversation. I value that more than sometimes all of these conversations that I have via social media or via the online connection. It's just another way that we connect with people. The whole point of all this is we've got to get out of isolation in education. We've got to bust out of our classrooms. We've got to start talking to people, and we've got to start sharing what's working in our classrooms, and especially what's not, and how we can all be together and learn together and grow together. Because again, you know, teaching is not about teachers, teaching is about kids. And if we're gonna do what's right for these kids, we've got to start learning together and being better together.
Well, we've got 16 seconds for questions. Actually, Eric and I will be back in the social networking room back there. If anybody has any questions for us, we'll certainly entertain them. And at this time, they used to play the Exodus music for us, but...
Yep. There we go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.